What's up? It's your host Tori, and who is ready to be petty? Welcome back to another episode of RTBP. I am so excited for this one. It was actually a joy editing, which I absolutely never say just because I enjoyed the conversation so much. I am joined by the girls of the Movies That Raised Us podcast, and we're chatting about, I'm not going to say our favorite, but a very spicy TV show that came out this summer on Netflix called Sex Life. And why we're talking about it, and this is getting posted in October, is because I am a bad podcaster. And, I work at a university, so July, August, September is super busy time of year for me. It's my New Year's. I always call it my January of the year. And I had just been double vaxxed, and I find when I just get out of the swing of things, I kind of get like self-doubty and like imposter syndrome-y, and I just didn't get around to it. I just couldn't, when you just like can't do something, it's just like some mental block. But I'm so happy that I did. It was a really fun conversation with Mo and Christina. And before we get to that, I've got another episode coming out later this week or next week, another one from the vault. I really feel like I'm Taylor Swift, and these are my Tori's version episodes that I recorded this spring about the Free Britney movement. And then after that, I have another special guest. I won't drop who it is, but one of your faves. And then it is RTBP's third birthday. I cannot believe it. I'm going to put together a clip show. So if you have any favorite moments or funny stories or things that you enjoyed over the past year of RTBP from like October 31st, 2020 to now, send me a message. Send me a DM, send me an email, rtbppodcast@gmail.com, and I will pull the clip for the anniversary bonus episode. Okay, I won't keep you waiting much longer. I just want to give a slight content warning for our discussion about Sex Life. We do at the tail end, I think it's around the 55-minute mark, start talking about consent, and I just want to give folks a heads up in case that part of the episode you want to skip. That is totally fine. And as always, just take care of yourself if you are listening. Okay, here's my conversation with Mo and Christina. I'm back with two very special guests, Christina and Mo from Movies That Raised Us podcast. Christina, how are you?
I'm swell. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to record.
Yes.
And Mo, how are you doing?
I'm also doing really great. I've been looking forward to this all day, so I'm stoked.
Good. I know you just finished your Sex Life binge. So.
We're about to dig into it.
It's fresh.
So many thoughts on that show.
Yeah, that's so good. And like, honestly, I watched it for this pod too. So we're really putting in the work for the listeners.
Absolutely.
So I was on the To All the Boys I've Loved Before episode of your podcast, and I was a Star Dazzle
presenter.
Yeah, presenter. Yeah. How did you two come up with the idea to talk about like 90s, 2000s movies?
I mean, at first, like we will talk about, Call Her Daddy and a bunch of other shows were doing like sex life and dating. And we were like, maybe we should do that. And then we're quickly like, we're not going to do that. Yeah. And then we were just jumping around on ideas. And then we talked about like doing a Gilmore Girls podcast. And then we brought in that too, like Y2K 2000s movies. We just want to do something we enjoyed.
I feel like there's endless things to talk about with Y2K movies because obviously there's a huge nostalgic like boom happening right now, but you can look at like the societal stuff and the fashion and like there's just so much to dig into.
Oh yeah, totally. There's actually like a new thrift store that opened up on my street and it's called Rogue, It's this girl who is selling exclusively Y2K clothes on Depop, and she opened a store, and it is like all the like the monkey emblem framed.
Oh my God. Yes.
You know what I'm talking about? And like
Yes.
Jonas Brother t-shirts, like tie-dye stuff, like all Y2K.
I was telling my sister the other day, I was like, I'm not going to pay for this shit again. Like, I've already bought this stuff and like given it away, but I'm like, I'm not giving it another cent.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's a 20-year cycle. Every 20 years, things are going to come back. I'm a little bit afraid for when like the 2010s fashion comes back. I'm like, this is going to be a lot of like peplums and business casual. And I don't think I want to do that again. So
I'll never wear a peplum again.
Yeah.
I
shit
know. Or
sucked.
wearing like a blazer to like a party, but like not like a cute slouchy like oversized blazer, but like a straight up like interview blazer.
Yeah.
I will never wear a ballet flat again.
No.
Do not come to my house in ballet flats. You will not be allowed in.
I know.
Yeah.
They're so awful. Even though like people in like France like still wear them and like it looks chic, but like, oh my God, they're so gross. So uncomfortable, just awful. Yeah, that's like the one bit of all of the nostalgia stuff that I just won't get back into is like super into the clothes. Like I'll wear high-waisted pants, like cool, but like the rest I just can't do. Like I'm not gonna put butterfly clips in my hair again or anything like that.
Those are the things that I'm always like, I would love to know your guys' opinion about, because the smaller details where I'm like, I'm wearing like earrings that have like a water bottle charm on it, or like I'm wearing butterfly clips. I'm like, am I too old for that shit? Like, do I need to just put the plastic accessories back? Like, put that shit away?
Oh yeah, that's really in like the plastic ring, like neon colored rings.
Yeah, just
stuff.
anything you would find at Claire's.
Yeah,
exactly.
We actually went to a Claire's in 2019 because I had to get a headband for a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
Nothing had changed. It was like going right back to 2002. They had a cell phone makeup palette that was a flip phone.
I would absolutely get my daughter that. Like, I want to take my daughter to Claire's and be like, sweetie, go crazy.
Learn your history, you know?
Yes.
Find yourself.
Oh my God. I know. I feel like if I was buying it for like one of my nieces or something, that would be fun. But like, it's just not for me because I know firmly that I'm too old because I think I have a few years on you too. So I just feel like it's like out of my wheelhouse nowadays. But it is fun revisiting movies. I think my go-to is always, I was thinking like, what's my favorite movie to rewatch? And I think it's What a Girl Wants.
A really good one.
What's been like the best part of revisiting some of these, or what's your favorite movie that you've covered on the pod?
That's such a good
That's
question.
I'm like cycling through all like 60 of them.
I really like doing the first Cheetah Girls movie. And I'm also really excited to do Si Se Puede. It's like this Latin like cheerleading, or actually it's a dance team Disney Channel original movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Just the movies that I feel like really impacted me personally are like always the most fun to do.
Yeah, I think my favorite one that we revisited was Uptown Girls because I just love that movie, and I will always carry a torch for it because of the idiots on Rotten Tomatoes. But what I'm really looking forward to doing is School of Rock because that is in my like top 3 all-time favorite movies just in general. So that one I'm looking forward to for sure.
Uptown Girls is so good because of like Brittany Murphy's legacy. Yeah. And then School of Rock also is like I would say it's in my top 20 movies. I'm actually like not a super, I was realizing this about myself the other day. I'm not like super into movies. I think I'm way more of a TV gal.
That's fair. Yeah. I do watch a lot of TV.
Yeah.
It's a sickness. Like I watch a lot of TV.
It's such a problem.
Yeah.
I was like, I can't watch, like I can't sit through a movie, but I can sit through 10 episodes or 8 episodes of Sex Life in one day. Like it's
absolutely.
It's so different.
Totally.
I like almost never binge watch shows. I can't like sit down and be like, I'm going to watch Grey's Anatomy at like 25 because I feel like I will never finish. It's like too much of an undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do get that when it's like a show that has like literally 3,000 episodes and seasons, sometimes it can be daunting, but I don't know, there's something about just like a 22 episode season.
Oh, I love a 22 episode season. Mo, actually, I don't know, have you finished One Tree Hill yet? Are you almost there?
Wait.
Mo's been watching One Tree Hill for the first time.
Okay, that's iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a wild ride.
Yeah.
It does get wild at like mid to end.
Yeah, for sure. And I am literally trying to remember. I'm on the last episode. I cannot remember if I think I did finish it because the last scene is like Brooke and she's like on the set of the Raven, A Murder of Ravens or whatever the fuck. And she sees like Julian like directing her and she sees like her in the movie. Is that the last thing that happens?
The last thing that happens in like the last scene, there's like a time jump a few years forward.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is that season 6?
I don't know. Yeah, because
that's last season.
No, there's 8.
Oh, 9.
9 seasons.
9 seasons.
Yeah.
Season 6 is when Chad Michael Murray and Hillary Burton left.
Yes.
And some are saying should have just ended there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Except for
totally
Brooke Davis.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Did not have a good ending at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You're totally right. So you're past season 6, but I don't think you're at the series finale.
Yeah. There's like probably 1 or 2 more episodes left.
Oh, I think I'm on the last episode. I just haven't finished the last episode.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you'll know the last scene when it happens.
Yeah. Because it's like controversial. Just the time. Yeah. Time.
Another time jump.
Like, in the last season, like the series finale, ever a good idea?
No.
I don't know.
No.
I think that they should have done like a Legally Blonde montage. Like, this is what Brooke's up to nowadays. But
yeah, definitely.
Anyways. So today we're going to talk about, I realize like, and I kind of maybe themed these together, but like lots of like sex and relationships.
True, yeah.
Like stories,
Yeah.
but we're going to talk about Alex Cooper for the aforementioned Call Her Daddy podcast. And just like that, the new Sex and the City reboot. And then we're going to talk about Sex Life, like the #1 Netflix TV show right now that's just sweeping the nation.
Yes.
So Alex Cooper of Call Her Daddy fame landed the $60 million Spotify deal. I really like actually didn't see this coming after like the tumultuous year she had with like Sophia. Was this like a big shock for you too?
I mean, I'm just surprised to see that big of a jump in numbers based on like the deal that they were initially offered from Barstool to then go to like 60 million. I'm like, that's an insane number.
I think that they had the #1 podcast like on iTunes for like a really long time. So they were like seriously underpaid, which is why the whole thing happened in like with her and Sophia initially.
Like, I agree because they were making like, I think it was like 500K and then they were offered $1 million and then Spotify was 60 million over 3 years. So 20 million a year. But it does seem like a huge jump. But Barstool is like getting completely cut out of this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think that they treated, I think that like they, I know too much about the fucking split is the issue because I listened to Call Her Daddy a lot. And then the split happened. I was literally on Instagram, like refreshing every day because it was also the pandemic. I was unemployed. And so like, I know literally every step of like what happened as it was happening. And I'm like, good for Alex. Like, good for you for making it work. I did listen to a couple of episodes when she was like a solo father, but I just didn't listen to as many because when I started listening, I was also like single and it was just more interesting. Now I'm like, it was less applicable to me, I guess. So I didn't listen as much. But yeah, I think like what she's doing now, she's probably getting paid more because she is like, she said she's going to do regular episodes and mini episodes as well. And like she's having on a lot of really big names and like really like delving into interviewing more and becoming kind of like not a broadcast journalist, but like more journalistic in style.
Right.
She had on Mia Khalifa, and I thought their conversation was just really honest and great. And it didn't seem like Mia Khalifa had gotten that kind of interview ever about her life where she could just be like, this is what happened. And it sounded like they were just two friends, like kind of like talking really openly. And I don't think that you can like find that anywhere else where people come on, like call her daddy and they're just like, I'm telling you all about my whole sex life, like Miley Cyrus and stuff like that.
That episode definitely felt like a big tone shift. It's also one of the first ones I think that got released after the split. And I was like, oh, this is like, we're diving in. Like, I feel like I'm listening to an E! True Hollywood story, but completely unfiltered.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point because I didn't listen to Call Her Daddy like at all. But obviously because I'm into pop culture, it just like seeps into the zeitgeist. And then I would listen to episodes if she had a guest that I liked or like followed. Like I'm like super into Summer House, so I listened to the Hannah Berner episodes and Paige DeSorbo episodes. And I recently listened to the Holly Madison episode that she did, and it was really good. Like I can actually tell that cause it was also very like E! True Hollywood story, like, and she actually, you could tell that she's like working on her interview skills and like actually diving into like things that are not just about like sex and relationships, like talking about family and I don't know, just other stuff. And I found it was actually like really enjoyable. But I'm just curious, like, if she can move her fan base to just Spotify.
Right.
Like, I don't know. And I'm like, is this like unfair of me? Because you're right. Like, she holds like consistently one of the top 5 podcasts in the world. She's now the highest paid podcaster after Joe Rogan. But I'm like still doubting it. I feel like that's a little bit unfair.
I don't know. I think I did listen to the Instagram live she did with Taylor Lorenz on like Friday, and she was like, yeah, I'm down in the iTunes charts, which is great for me because it means that people are like going to Spotify. And I guess Spotify told her that she's had one of the easiest transitions they've ever had.
Wild.
So it sounds, I think that for me, I find her to be a really relatable person. I think one of the things that she did the best was kind of shift from the earlier episodes where there was definitely a mentality of like, what we're saying might not be like right morally, but like, we're going to tell you how to land the guy. And I think she's shifting over into maybe let's take care of our mental health a little bit more. And she's been very dynamic in the feedback that she's gotten.
That's probably the biggest criticism that the podcast has had, is that it's like amoralistic almost, but with the way that they would like play guys and stuff. But like, I think you're right that it is like a pretty authentic conversation, and they didn't necessarily like set out to be like role model, like necessarily like their angle or whatever. And like, that's okay. Not everything has to be like aspirational like stuff.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see because it's been such a long, like Alex and Sophia had been working together for a long time, and Alex is now continuing on her own, and you can definitely see her growth as a person and like maturity, and it's cool to be able to like have recordings to kind of track that whole arc that she's gone through, just like as a person, as you do when you're growing and learning in the world. So that's like one of the cool things about just podcasts in general, is you have little landmarks of time to always go back to.
Totally. Because I even feel that about my podcast. Like, there's so many things like I've learned or changed or like grew up about and stuff. And yeah, it is cool to see that. And you can tell that she has like really in the past year like become, I feel like, more business savvy, and everything seems more like kind of professional and yeah, it's been cool to see her grow that way. I think that flip side of the coin is like Sophia. What do you think how do you think she's taking the news?
Probably not like amazingly.
Yeah. Have you listened to her new podcast?
No, I haven't.
I listened to like, again, just sporadic episodes if I liked the guest or the topic, but I'm not like I've never been like a diehard listener.
I haven't listened to Sophia's podcast at all. So yeah, I'm not sure. I know it has like a decent amount of followers, just obviously because she was like on a podcast, you know, millions of people listen to or whatever. But yeah, I do like wonder if she's like regretful or if she likes just having her own thing, even if it's smaller. It still seems like she's like making revenue from it. Yeah. But I know that like one of the big reasons why there was a riff also was because Sophia was getting paid less than Alex, but Alex was also like the one coming up with like major ideas, and she also edited. So like obviously if you're doing more work, like you're going to get paid more money by Barstool. Yeah, I think that like it also stemmed from Alex's videos that she had on YouTube, and those those videos like directly contributed to her getting like this meeting with Barstool and like starting the podcast. She asked Sophia to record it with her so that she could have a co-host. So it was like always her thing. They just were great together. It's unfortunate for sure.
Yeah, I think the toughest part is like, this is what also Sophia was like pushing for and like didn't back down from. Like they were like, she and her boyfriend at the time, I'm not sure if they're still together, were like, we deserve more money, or like they deserve more money. We want like the rights to like the IP to the podcast and all of the terms that they've coined and like merch and like stuff like that. And then Alex ends up taking it from Barstool to Spotify, and then like gets the I would say the like appropriate salary for again one of the top podcasts in the world. So yeah. What do you think, Christina? What do you think Sophia's feeling?
I mean, I haven't listened to her podcast. I did hear an ad for it though on like another podcast I was listening to, and that's how I even learned that she had her own show. And it sounds, at least from the ad that I heard, tonally like it is very similar to what Call Her Daddy was. So it doesn't seem like there is that sort of growth or expansion in any way, which I don't think will really serve her necessarily, because it kind of feels like that moment is like over. So yeah, I don't know. I guess she's just trying to capitalize on what was previously built. I just don't really see it having the same type of growth that Alex is going to see.
Yeah. For sure. Because Alex just like, again, this is what happens when you have a huge media company backing you. Like she just had more resources, put out more episodes, had all the promo and the merch, where like Sophia was like starting from scratch, which I read an article that Alex did like 2 days ago or whatever, and she was saying like, I didn't feel like Sophia and I could at this point start scratch, and Sophia was probably not the person that I'd want to do that with, right? So I wanted to stick with Barstool, and like it just shows you how much, even if you have a built-in audience, like how much work this stuff takes. Like really.
For sure.
Well, all the best, Sophia and Alex Cooper. I feel like she's also been hanging out with like Summer House people and stuff like that. I feel like she is just gonna also go beyond like podcasting, like really become an influencer or like a celebrity, which there isn't really like a super blueprint for podcasters becoming celebrities. Like it's usually TikTokers or you know, reality TV. So I'm excited to like follow her career.
Definitely.
I would love
it is aspirational for us.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Spotify, if you're looking to give anyone else a $60 million deal, we are all available. So
All three of us are fully available.
Yes.
You can give us 60 million for the three of us.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can do 3 for the price of 1.
Exactly.
Yeah. We have that Alex Cooper work ethic.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And appeal, I don't know. It helps. And she also mentioned this in the article, and then we can move on. But she also did say in the article, like, I know I'm hot, and I like leveraged that. Like, I knew that my looks and like our combined like looks was gonna like get us into the door, and like
right,
we could like utilize that. That's why we started doing.
I think
like,
I read this same article.
Probably it was like Variety or something.
Yeah, maybe it was like an article on Bustle, but they quoted like that. Like they were like, we read this article, now we're summarizing it in our own words.
Yes. But the photo shoots for those articles, again, I don't know where it was coming from. They're so good, and they look so like she looks like a celebrity. And the article was like, yeah, she toned down her bleach blonde hair a little bit, and like
it was the same article.
Yes.
Because I remember that I was like, you're really it felt very like you know how when you read like Vogue or something, it's like she walked in carrying a chicken salad with mandarin slices.
Yeah,
like we got it, girl.
Yeah. Why is that such a popular, like I was reading a Josh Bassett.
I was just gonna say the Joshua Bassett. I did read that, yes.
It's like he was 20 minutes late and apologized profusely, like before sitting down with his oat milk latte. Like,
as fans outside took TikToks we later saw on our For You page, I was like, oh, Christ, okay.
Yes. Oh my God. Every article is like that. I swear to God.
She took off her glasses and breathed on them, then wiped her shirt with it, telling me she never carries a glasses wipe.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know. Find a new journalism school.
Honestly, it's all the same. But like, I would literally kill to have
someone describe.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's like fan fiction come to life. That's all I want.
Honestly.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It's the fan fiction. It's like, fucking Edward walked by and
his green orbs looked into my eye, like
exactly.
Yeah.
What would your guys' articles be? Like, what would your like intro to the interview be?
I have to think of like something Christina, quirky to do to like
Mine would be like something like she said sorry to every person she bumped into and said thank you like 1,000 times to the barista.
She was handed her coffee, and when the barista said enjoy, she said you too, blushing slightly.
Oh my gosh. Mine would be like so tragic. It would be like she came in 15 minutes after she said she would when she texted me she was late the first time. She took off her sunglasses and already looked very pissed off, like she wanted to leave.
I love that. Yeah, there's no way that mine doesn't include that I'm like extremely late and extremely rushed.
Like, late, rushed,
fumbling a million things in my hands, like
chronically Canadian, and like that's
like profusely apologizing to everyone she encountered. Oh my God, one day. This kind of reminds me of though like the Carrie Bradshaw episode where she is late and super hungover for the magazine cover.
The Single and
like,
Fabulous question mark?
Yes. Yeah. I don't even think she knew it was the cover, and they're like, we just need to get the lighting. Like, can you just sit down? And she's like, oh, I'm like gross, but this isn't the shoot. And then like that also would probably happen to me.
Like, oh no.
An absolute nightmare fuel.
Yes. And Sex and the City is coming back on HBO Max, which this is probably the thing that's gonna Gossip Girl didn't get me, but I think I will be purchasing an HBO Max account to watch, and just like that.
It's gonna be interesting. I mean, we're seeing a lot of reboots happening right now. I have been watching the Gossip Girl one. It is not great. I am more hopeful for this though, just because I think that the source material is a little bit richer, and we're also continuing with the same characters, which I think people prefer to like a full-blown reboot like we're seeing with Gossip Girl, or remakes like She's All that kind of stuff. So I'm a little more hopeful about this one.
What about you, Mo? Are you excited?
I'm not a Sex in the City watcher.
No way. Okay, after your One
Yeah.
Tree Hill, like the last 20 minutes of the episode you need to watch, then you can go watch Sex in the City. Or have you tried and you didn't like it?
I don't know if this might be like a petty tidbit, but I like cannot stand like a group of white women just like blathering on to me. Like
Yeah,
it's
fair.
And I get that, like, especially in that time period, like, I mean, I watched Seinfeld, like, I understand, like, there are definitely, they weren't casting for like diversity or inclusion, but I think there's like something about that like upper echelon of New York white lady that I'm like, it simply like doesn't appeal.
Yeah.
Mixed in with the sprinkles of this is like homophobic or like blatantly racist.
Oh, the rewatch is tough at many points, which has been like pointed out and like chronicled and stuff. And I feel like
I'm sure
they're trying to do like, who knows if they're gonna do it well, but like a full 180 with some of these like new cast members. So I'm really curious to see how it turns out, if it's like for the better.
Yeah.
Or if it's like tokenistic.
Because I remember a few years ago, Mo and I went to like an AOL Build interview with the cast of Younger when Younger was coming out, and Darren Star produced that as well. And Mo very bravely and boldly got up and asked them basically like, so you talk a lot about how this show is all about showing like New York and the diversity of New York. Like, how is that represented in your cast? And all of the actors were like, Darren, do you want to take this one? And he was like, yeah, the diversity of the city is in the architecture and the food and all this stuff. And we were just like,
Also the famous woman, I forget her name. She has like a little gap right here. She has like red hair.
Oh,
I think she
Molly Bernard.
Yeah,
right?
She also said something to that effect where it was like, there's so many diverse aspects of New York. Like, yeah.
But
I was like a
not in our
brash
cast,
little
though.
bitch when I was in college.
I love that.
Yeah.
And like, did that make it onto like the
I don't
interview?
know. It probably
Like,
did
I
not
don't
make
know.
it to the
How
final.
did you not look it up afterwards?
I don't know.
I didn't even
make
think
sure.
about that.
Yeah, we'll have
I
to.
was just like, Hillary
find it.
Duff's going to be in town. Like, we have to go.
Yeah.
I love that. And like, honestly though, like his other show is Emily in Paris.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Like
You're kidding.
of like the big
Yeah.
shows. And it's like the same.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
That man will not learn his lesson.
I know. Also, Younger, did you watch the full series?
I just started watching it like a week ago.
Okay,
Yeah.
because I don't know how it's 7 seasons.
Yeah.
Wow.
It went
Is
on
it
for
all
way
of
too long.
her pretending to be younger than she is?
No, she gets, I don't know if this is a spoiler that you want, but it's somewhere in like season 3 or season 4. But it
lasts
does
that
go-
long? Oh my god.
Yes, yeah. And like there's points where some people know and some
Right.
people don't.
Right.
But yeah, I was doing a rewatch for the last season and I was shocked at how long it went on.
Yeah.
Without them finding out her secret.
Mhm.
But one of the most disappointing finales
I do know what happened in the finale, and I was like, I'm gonna watch it anyways, but this doesn't sound like a great ending.
No, I feel like Darren Star hates women, possibly.
Yeah.
Question mark.
I don't
You
think
heard
you're
it here
wrong.
first.
Yeah. I don't know. Just like, I just feel like a lot of the outcomes of his, like the main cast of his TV shows, like don't end up great
Yeah.
or there's no, I don't know, they're not realistic. There's some exciting new guests. Sarah Ramirez, who I know mostly from Grey's Anatomy,
Yes.
is joining the cast as Che Diaz. a non-binary podcast host that Carrie is a frequent guest on.
Mm-hmm.
So Carrie went from like writing articles to like refusing to get a cell phone to refusing to get email
Yeah.
to like refusing to get a smartphone, and then is now a frequent guest on a podcast.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It's really 2021.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how they navigate these women who were never super progressive, because obviously Samantha's not there. Seeing them in 2021, what that looks like for them. And even if you just look at the fashion, they are staying very on trend with what's going on right now. So I'm curious to see how that all comes across, especially with all these new characters that they're introducing.
Yeah, so the other ones are Kara Pittman as Dr. Nia Wallace. She's going to be a Columbia law professor. Are either of you familiar with Kara Pittman?
No.
Okay, me neither.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh. And then Lisa Todd Parker as I must have written this wrong. Lisa Todd Wexley. That can't be right. But she's going to be like a Park Avenue mom. I'm assuming like
a friend with Charlotte.
Yes.
Yeah.
Rolling with Charlotte, who her two daughters are back.
Wow.
But they're like
teens. Oh my God.
Yeah, which is just like really interesting. And then the last person that's joining the cast that we've heard of that's new is Sharita Chahuri as Seema Patel, and she's a high power real estate agent. I feel like fans are gonna really want the like OG cat, like seeing the OG cast members, so I'm like scared that these folks are gonna get like unnecessary backlash for like just being there,
right?
but
yeah,
we'll see how it goes.
I'm curious to see how they're gonna write Samantha out of it. If they're like, she moved, she died, I don't know.
Yeah, Darren Star like was like, oh, friends like move on, or there's stages of friendships where you're like really close or really like not close. So I feel like they're just gonna like generally say that she like kind of moved on and keep it vague. I don't know.
Sounds very much like the third Cheetah Girls movie.
Yeah.
Yes, where they were like, Galleria is like, what did they say? Like at college still or something like that?
I think.
Yeah.
They're like, she's doing summer school or some, I don't know, something weird. It didn't make a lot of sense.
Totally.
It's just a shame because Samantha's like the best friend to all of them.
I know.
And like, it doesn't feel in character for her to, you know, just kind of drift away, because she even says like, men come and go, we're soulmates, like that whole thing. So I'm just kind of like, oh, but I want Kim Cattrall to have her peace and live a happy life and not be in a situation that was clearly toxic. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Can I ask, was the most recent movie the one where Samantha almost gets engaged, but in the end she's like, no, I like being single or like unmarried?
No,
that was the first of two.
Oh,
the second one is where they go to Abu Dhabi and she almost gets arrested for like having sex on the beach.
Yeah, giving like a hand job on the beach. Honestly, I don't take the movies as canon.
No, they don't. They don't exist in my mind, especially when it comes to Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened to Steve?
In the first movie, he cheats on Miranda.
That's not real.
Yeah, it doesn't.
I haven't seen a lot of episodes, but I have seen some episodes, and I like that man. Yeah. I don't think he would do that.
Yeah.
No, it was like very out of character. Yeah. And like even, well, I guess Carrie cheated on Aiden, but like with Big, but then cheats on Big with Aiden. I don't know.
And Aiden's coming back too. So I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah. And same with Natasha.
Yes.
Yeah. Big's second wife. So yeah, it's just going to be really interesting. Yeah. I'm excited. But I totally agree that like when I'm watching, I know that it's not like a realistic picture of New York. It's like a very small sliver of life there.
And I think that's why the movies were not nearly as good or successful, because they were all too rich in the movies. Like, it wasn't even close to being relatable. It was like, this is a whole other thing. Like, they're living in these crazy penthouse apartments, flying to Abu Dhabi. Like, it was just no longer had any sort of grounding in reality, which is what people gravitated towards in the first place, even though it is very much like a romanticized, like very wealthy, even then still, side of New York. At least it felt a little more normal.
Yeah.
But they just reached a threshold where it was like, this is not for like you and me anymore. This is for like very wealthy people.
We'll see if they even like reference the movies in the TV show.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can remember that trip to Abu Dhabi we took. So bad. The other show that I actually was not gonna watch until you two suggested. I straight up was not gonna watch it because I think I saw the trailer. It's Sex Life. I think I said that at the beginning of the episode, but I watched like the trailer. I think it was even like the fucking autoplay when you just log into Netflix. Like, it was forced like upon me. And then I was like, I'm just so tired of this trope because it's like very woman gets married, has an unfulfilling sex life, and like freaks out. And like, I feel like that is probably realistic. I'm not a long-time married woman, so I don't like, it's not something I relate to, but I feel like that probably happens. But I was like, I don't know, I've just seen this, I think, too much. So I wasn't gonna watch it, but then you both suggested it and I was like, okay. And then like it's like it's one of those TV shows that I feel like is so bad that it makes it good.
Exactly. Yeah.
So then I watched it in one day.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I didn't know anything about it. It popped up. It was a very similar thing with what happened to me when I watched Bridgerton. I literally knew nothing about it, but it was on the front page of Netflix. And I was like, sure, I'll watch an episode. And I watched the first episode and I was like, oh my God, this is like steamy. I need to know more. And then I proceeded to watch 6 episodes and I only stopped because I had work in the morning. I was like, okay, I will go to sleep now, watch the 7th episode on my lunch break, and then the 8th episode immediately after work. So I was like, I need to just watch this whole thing. And then I texted everyone I knew and I was like, has anyone seen the show? Because like, has anybody seen this show? It is insane.
You were like, you'll never believe this pornographic show on Netflix.
Yeah. I'm like, they're coming for HBO's neck with these sex scenes.
Honestly,
that is so true. I was wondering, and I'm not even wondering because I know it's not true, but I know they're dating in real life now, and I'm like, were any of those sex scenes like not stimulated or like simulated?
I was like thinking that because I was like, this is like, because like I was thinking, what's the raciest TV show I've ever watched on like, this isn't network like cable, but like basically. Yeah. And I was thinking it's probably Bridgerton, which isn't even, which was like so, like the scenes are so TV fake sex scenes, but like this is like straight up porn. Or like when I think of like when I'm talking about like Outlander or something, I'm like, oh, this is so like it's TV sex, but this I was like, okay, this is porn.
Yeah. Well, there's
next episode.
There's male full frontal, which I feel like is very rare to ever see. Yeah. And they went for it. I was not prepared.
Yeah. I wasn't either. So, okay, like speaking of Sex in the City, in the first movie, there's like male full frontal, but it's like just the tip.
Yeah.
And this was
like the whole everything.
The whole banana. Yeah.
Yeah. And like for like seconds. Yeah, because it's usually like, like in the shower, like a hint or like.
No, we got a good read on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was like, how many times did you like go? Because I was like shocked.
Oh, I gasped. I fully gasped. And I was like, are my eyes deceiving me? Hang on, I need to go back and reevaluate. No, I was shocked.
Like I even had a heads up because my hot yoga studio, like the owner of the studio knows I like this stuff and was like, have you seen episode 3 of Sex Life? And I was like, oh, okay, like there's obviously something. So like I knew what was coming, and I still was like I wish that I got my reaction on tape. It was
my gosh.
like crazy.
Well, that was like a trend that people were doing on TikTok of like, oh, go to the show, go to like minute 19, episode 3, whatever it is, and people were like recording their raw reactions. And
that's so interesting because I like didn't. Well, I mean, I got the heads up from you about episode 3, but I was like, I was seeing one of these before. Like, I was like, all right. And then I also like, my boyfriend knew about the like full frontal in episode 3. And I was like watching episodes like early this morning before he woke up. And he was like, he like finally woke up like fully and was like, hey, you want episode 3? Like, let me take a look at that. Like everyone's talking about it. And so I went back and I was like, here we are. And I was like, I don't think it's as big as it's like seeming like online. Cause I was like, some people are like growers and some people are showers. So he's probably just a shower.
Yeah.
If it's real. Do we know if it's doctored?
I read articles.
Yes.
I was doing my research and people are saying that it's real. And what
good
I want to know.
Yeah.
And good for
her.
Sarah.
Yeah, good for her.
Like, I was just like wondering, it probably was written into the TV show, or did everyone just knew he had a massive dick and was like, okay, we'll just write this like scene into the TV show?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I feel like they could have like just like Netflix has a team where they could like CGI and like elongate if they needed to.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, I thought that too, but like everyone this was the funniest part, I think, of this entire TV show is I was reading an article and it was like from a childhood like friend that would have been in like locker rooms with him. And was like, oh no, that's for sure real.
Wow.
And I was like, this isn't
That's
like,
so
you
weird.
couldn't get like a past partner or something to weigh in. You went to his childhood. Like,
We tracked down his old schoolmates from an alumni catalog.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
it's so
gosh.
bad.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that show was literally insane. Because when it first starts, I was like, okay, Billy's like really going through it. Like it's not easy to be a wife and a mom and fall into these roles seamlessly. And then I was like, wait, she's a bad person. And I was like, her husband wants to be with her so much. And then I was like, wait, he's a bad person. And I was like, Brad's a bad person.
Yeah.
And then at the end, I was like, you know what? Like, the reason that I felt they were bad people was because they were being so deceptive and manipulative and like not communicative, or not even manipulative, just not communicative. And then when Cooper and Billy finally like have that moment at the like international fair, I was like, this is so nice. Like finally they're on the same page, because from the fucking orgy scene, I was like, oh, so you don't want to be in an open relationship. Like you don't want to have like other sexual partners, but like you don't want to break up with him. Like you don't want to choose the other guy. You said no to the marriage proposal. So then when she's at this book thing, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Truly wanting to have her cake and eat it too.
I just did not get that. Because I was like, are they trying to set up, like at the beginning, it's like everyone I feel like is Team Cooper. And then it's like, oh no, I'm Team Brad. And then like, I'm really Team nobody.
No.
Yeah.
I'm not even Team Billy.
Yeah.
At this point.
Like at the end of the day, if she wants to be with Brad or not, she should leave Cooper. Because like,
Yeah.
obviously it's
That's
not
all I'm
working
asking
out.
for.
Let him go be with Francesca or whoever that clearly wants the same thing, because you don't want the same thing. You want the security that you're offered in that relationship, but you don't actually like this person. So whether or not to be with Brad, just like leave him.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like kind of saying that Brad had done all this like the issues stemmed from his like absent father, and then he made amends. So then do you think he's still not going to offer stability? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not. He was also awful. Like,
Yeah.
so bad hooking up with someone else at the wedding and like all the post baby stuff. Like,
horrible.
Yeah.
That
is
so
so
bad.
tragic. I don't think I could, if I had a miscarriage and a week later or 2 days later, my fucking almost fiance was making out with someone, I don't think that I could go back to that no matter how good the sex was. Like, what the fuck is that? Who wrote that?
And like when he's throwing all her shit in the elevator, I was like, oh my God.
Oh, that was so cold.
He's like he's emotionally abusive when he's angry.
Absolutely.
100%. And like Cooper also is like shuts her off, gives her the silent treatment, which is like so, like, when I studied psychology, that's like the worst thing you can do in your relationship is be a stone.
You're adding
stone,
me.
like stone Molly. Oh no. It's like where you become completely absent of like any emotion and then like be silent. And that's like what Cooper does a lot. So I don't know. It was a whirlwind.
Yeah.
Also, okay, just talking about my psych major, like I was a psych major, but like I feel like so was everybody else in the world. But like so are Billy and
Sasha,
her best friend Sasha. Yeah. And I just want to clear something up because this is like my biggest pet peeve about people that study psychology. And again, like they moved on to like graduate degrees and like their PhDs and stuff. So obviously their knowledge is like way beyond mine, but like Billy meets Brad, who the name even Brad is just like
red flag number one
name. Oh my God, that's like the worst name ever.
Yeah.
And then she's in the car with him and he's like, what do you do? And she's like, I'm a grad student, I study psychology. And then he's like, oh, so what do you like think of me in the first like 5 minutes that we've met? And he's like, she's like, your haircut means you're like in touch with your feminine side.
You're wearing rings, so it's probably like daddy issues or something like that.
Yes.
She's like, I'm also a palm reader.
like people don't and can't do full analyses on people's like physical appearances in like 2 seconds of knowing them. Like that's just not what psychology is. But every time I'm like, oh, I studied psych in uni, they're like, what do you like think of, like, are you like psychoanalyzing me and stuff? I'm like, that's just not how that works at all.
That's so funny because when I think of that, like someone being like, what do you think of me? I'm like, I think that you probably think you're the main character.
Or like you care a lot about what other people think. I don't know. It's just so, I don't know. It just happens in like every movie, which was weird because a lot of the other psychology stuff that they mentioned, like code switching and I can't even remember, or just like monogamy and humans and stuff like that actually was grounded in like real psychology. So it was just like annoying that this thing is like no one does that or can do that.
Yeah, because it's based on a memoir.
Oh, wild. I didn't know that.
Which I have been listening to sporadically over the past like week or so. Like the storyline of like Billy and Brad is not there. It's more so just about like this woman who is writing a diary about like her past sexual experiences, and her husband finds it and starts to like try and live up to it, spice things up, stuff like that. And she treats it as like a psychology experiment where she's like testing behavioral modification stuff on him. So that whole conversation with Billy and Sasha on the phone where she like is telling her all about it, and they're like, oh my God, I'm gonna write a book about this, that is like lifted verbatim from the book. So it's pretty interesting so far because it's called 44 chapters about 4 men. I think I'm on like the second man now, but yeah, it is based somewhat in reality from like a real psychologist. So
that's interesting. And like I feel like they could have talked about like masculinity and more and stuff about like
because it definitely seems like Cooper, when he has like maybe not erectile dysfunction, but definitely like a mental blockage. Like there's something going on. Like he should go to therapy, first of all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought that like a lot of topics were like not delved into when it's supposed to be like a super like they're all very educated. And I just thought like after watching it, I was like, what was I supposed to get from this? Like you can't be happy unless you cheat on your husband. Like at the end of the day, you gotta cheat on him to have it all.
Right.
Yeah, and I thought that it was going to be like progressive, and it was like, so now this is why we're in an open relationship, because we were getting stuff from different people or something like that, but we still wanted to like stay together or something like that. And then it was just like none of that.
No. Instead, I'm running through the streets of Manhattan, aka Toronto, where they filmed this, to go have sex with my ex-boyfriend. And that's the end.
Yeah. That was the end. Okay, I wanted to ask, what is the commute time from where they live?
Because they're in Connecticut.
Yeah, and they're like taking a train, but it seems like so seamless that they ended up in New York.
I can tell you from experience, Greenwich is probably like a 45-minute train ride from Grand Central at the most. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's not bad, because I was like, this seems, like it's easy for them to do, but I don't know. I always feel like I forget, especially Canada is like everything's so spread out, and there's not a lot of good train systems. I feel like, especially on the East Coast, it's so small, and then like
it's
there's
so
also
small.
good trains.
It's like Greenwich is like one of the first stops when you get out of New York. So I was like, all right, sure. But like when he's like, I'm leaving now, I'll be there as soon as I can. I'm like, you made them wait like an hour or two.
Yeah.
Like you weren't just
like, when's the next train coming?
Yeah.
There's a schedule. Yeah.
That was another thing that you just mentioned, is like also the fucking like, I don't even know the word that I'm looking for, but like not evil, but like disdain or like disgust, or I don't know, of like some of these like evil moments of like sometimes I was like, this seems like violent, the way that you're like saying some of this stuff. I don't know, like Cooper, I thought in particular, like I don't know, like I'm like, some of your tone of voice is like really off-putting to me. I don't know, it felt like it seemed like some of the scenes, it was so, I don't know, filled with like hate or something.
I did feel like they had her cry like every episode, like every conversation with like Brad or Cooper, she'd be like tears like welling around, and she'd be like this girl never had like a fucking, she like put on her eyeliner every morning and it would wipe away by afternoon.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, I mean the most malicious, I think, moment that you get with Cooper is like at the sex party where he tells Trina, do it. I was like,
do it.
Oh my God.
I was like, what?
Yeah. That was really shocking.
I thought the way that he was also like undressing Billy was really shocking. Because I was like, I guess when you've been in a relationship with someone that long, like you might not always think that, because she wasn't like into it, and she was like, I don't know, like maybe he was like, oh, like you just need to relax, but I was like, he keeps going, and I don't think it's like consensual, and I think it's like very obvious it's not consensual.
I know. I actually work, I don't know if I've talked about this with you too. I definitely talked about it on the pod, but I work in violence prevention, like sexualized violence prevention. And this is why conversations about consent are so interesting, because all three of us are agreeing that it was so clear that she wasn't giving consent, but like other people would watch that scene and like not have batted an eye.
Right.
That's so interesting and weird to me. Like, I think that there's a really fine line, because I've also like, I personally, when I like do something, I'm not always like, you know, are like, I'm not being asked like, is this okay? Is this okay? Like there's definitely like communication, but that looks different for everyone. I guess I just feel like you can tell if you're like on someone like physically, if they're tense or if they're relaxed. And like that should be like the body language is like a huge clue.
Right.
Totally. And that's what like so many people lack. Obviously, there's many other like systemic issues that go into decision making and the way that our culture views sex and stuff like that. But the one of the biggest pieces is like not knowing or not reading body language correctly, because you're right, like the silence, the like hemming and hawing, the tensing of her body, she's like kind of crying, she's covering herself up at some points,
she's
like
not having a good time,
like, totally her voice, she's asking many questions like, are you like, we should just take this home, like all of those are clues to a person that should say like, I should stop and check in again and ensure that this is okay. And there was just none of that, which for people that have been married for many years, because you're right, after time with a partner, you might not be asking verbally every single time you do something or change something like, is this okay? But you're learning to read their face, or using past experience or doing other things to communicate. Yes, but it was just like completely void here. And and
it's not the first time we saw him do something like that. Like when they're in the car and they're trying to have sex, it doesn't work, and then he's like, no, I'm gonna make it work, and climbs on top of her. They're doing it and she's like, slow down, like stop, and he's like, he's like trying to just
it's gonna work,
push it through, and she's there completely just like blank and still.
You're totally right.
And she's like, her eyes aren't closed, which like usually you close your eyes, or like her face was just like completely there, and he was like like yelling, it's gonna work. Like it was just all really interesting to look at from like a standpoint, because I feel like those scenes were kind of maybe nuanced, but like they shouldn't, like, they should be the status quo. But like I feel like in a lot of scenes that depict sexualized violence, like it's not, or like it's, I feel like this was just really realistic to depict. And sorry for taking you down a kind of a dark road, but this I thought would be good to like teach people of like why Cooper should have stopped in these like instances that maybe people didn't pick up.
Definitely.
It's weird to think that the writers were like, here's how we're going to show people that she's like not interested in having sex with Cooper. I'm like, no, here's how you're showing people that Cooper's like a rapist.
Literally.
Like, those are two different things that you're showing.
Totally. Or that people who like sex like it all the time and like it like in public or like aggressive, because like that's not the case. Like literally so much to depict, like so much to dissect. I just thought also some of the dialogue and like plot points were just like so bad. Like I wrote some of like the dialogue of just like Brad like wistfully looking at Billy and being like, amazing, and then she's like, what's amazing? And he's like, you. Like I just thought that this stuff was like so bad.
I mean, it comes across to me, I haven't really read many like romance novels, but I have read a lot of fan fiction, and it very much reads to me like that kind of over the top, like cheesy kind of dialogue that nobody like talks like that. No one would ever say that. But in this like romance world, it's like that's the norm. So it read to me tonally a lot like that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it does actually have some like kind of maybe like bad romance. I feel like there really is good romance novels that like are underappreciated and like new, but you're right, it kind of does read as like a Nicholas Sparks like moment. Like
Nicholas Sparks, but with full frontal.
I was getting big like 50 Shades of Grey from
Right.
that movie or from this show.
Yeah. Do you think that like some of these things were just for like kind of like shock value, or like, oh, people will talk about this or people will watch this, kind of like in 50 Shades?
I think that like when it ended, I was like, we never got a moment. Maybe when he comes to like the dinner party with all of her Psychology Today magazines. Other than that, like every single flashback with him is like sex related. So I'm like, it's literally like, why would you leave your husband for someone who can only offer you like good sex? And I was like, all the scenes that involve him are like, it's like, we're having sex in my car, we're having sex in this club alley. Like, that's all like shocking or whatever. But like, a part of the plot in that they only talk about those shocking sex moments. Yeah, I don't know if that answered anything, but
Well, that's what she's always remembering.
yeah.
Like when she's like at the beginning, when she's like reminiscing about their relationship, it's like all the amazing sex. And then later down the road, when she's like talking to friends and Cooper and stuff, she starts to remember like the bad parts, like the miscarriage and like stuff like that. But also the Psychology
insane.
Today one like moment, that also was like, read the room, because your partner just wants you to actually to be present at the dinner party instead of being like gone. Like, I don't know, it was just all weird.
Definitely.
Some other like, I feel like very now like 2021 things about this show. Every hot guy is boxing in their
everyone.
Workouts. Every single one.
Yeah.
Going to an overpriced gym.
Yes, that's
punching
the new
things.
like aggressive like macho man like situation.
Also, like hot men in 2021 are not buff. They're like muscular but still very slender.
Yes. What is that, like the Pete Davidson like
the Timothy Chalamet syndrome.
That's so true. I also, the other plot point that I think is like probably like, again, the biggest question mark for me is like, she was like, I was a wild like stallion, like no one could fence me in and like stuff like that. But it was like her getting drunk and then like going to the bar and then dancing and then having a one night stand. And I was like, isn't this everybody's like like, I was like, what? Then I was thinking, I was like, what wild thing did she like even really do? And I was thinking her and Sasha
when they swapped
boyfriends, and then when she got like finger banged in the restaurant, I was like, that actually is wild. Like, I would never do that. But
or at the gallery when they like flirt with other people and then go to the stairwell. I was like, that's steamy.
That's true. But I was like, everything else is like, I feel like very just like college days.
Yeah, I was hoping when I first started watching on the first episode, I was like, oh, we're gonna get like these amazing recollections of like this hookup, that hookup over there. And it ended up being about one fucking guy. I was like, so what you're telling me is your fucking crazy sex days was being monogamous with this guy who was like super mean and would break up with you randomly? Sweetie, that sounds I'm gonna not take that option personally.
I definitely in the book so far it's much, because it's not focusing on a central storyline like that, so it's a bit more spread out, and you just see like these little snapshots of these different men starting from like when she's a teen. She starts with like the guy she lost her virginity to and she was like 16 or something. So it's more like that, where you're like, oh, like this guy and like this place and this thing, instead of like this really toxic abusive relationship where they like fuck in his really nice penthouse everywhere.
He's amazing. He's a billionaire if he were to own that penthouse in New York. That is
with its
humongous.
stage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what the fuck?
It wasn't my style of decor. I'll just
Yeah.
put that out there.
Too much neon or not enough neon for you?
Yeah. It was like very classic. I feel like we're like in New York and like
Eccentric billionaire.
Yes,
Yeah.
like there's like
Yeah.
a statue, but
Rocker.
like also brick wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm also okay. The one last thing, and then if there's anything else we want to chat about the show, because I feel like I could talk about it forever. But like, I really am so tired of these, because like again, Brad and Cooper are awful people, and I guess like Billy also like isn't great, but like I feel like there's so many TV shows that are like women rehabbing awful men.
Yeah.
Especially like the daddy issue, which like, I don't know. I always go back and forth with myself about this, because it's like I also get that like, so Billy opens like Brad up to talking about his dad, but I also get that it's like tougher for men to talk about, like with societal pressures to talk about, you know, their feelings and like these types of relationship things. And then I also think that when you're with people, you like maybe reflect on yourself, or like they hold up a mirror or whatever, and you like want to work on things. But I just feel like this, I don't know, these relationships being portrayed as like Billy helping Brad, like, I don't know, and like puts up with his abuse kind of like, I don't know, it's just a tired trope.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have liked to have seen more of like Billy sorting through outside of the men, just like her own stuff and like her own past, because she talks about she wanted to like get away from this life that like wasn't enough for her back in Georgia. And I'm like, what's the deal with that? And like there's allusions to stuff about her parents, so I'm like, we don't get to see any of that with her. We only really get that sort of character backstory development with like Brad, I guess. So it just feels kind of uneven, and nobody's like helping Billy through anything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Billy definitely makes herself like, she definitely alienates herself from her husband and her best friend in many ways. But I'm also like, you need like a support system or something right now, or like to even just open up and be like, here's the real thing. 'Cause she doesn't really have that moment of opening up.
Yeah.
Like even the conversation that she has with her husband when they're in the ice cream shop is like lightning quick. So yeah, it just seems like maybe this is the point. At the end of the day, she didn't resolve shit. Like literally nothing was resolved.
Yeah.
I think that's the struggle with her characters. She's not only lying to everybody, but she lies to herself so deeply that I'm like, what is going on? What is the truth? Do you even know anymore?
Yeah.
That's true. And like, maybe I'm assuming this is going to get a season 2 because of the hype it's been getting, but like maybe we'll have more of that, like, I don't know, growth in season 2. We'll see, to be determined.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I will say just one more thing before we wrap up. I thought it was so unnecessary when that blonde woman comes up to her at the play and she's like, thanks so much now. Dev doesn't want to go to sex parties anymore because of you and Cooper. And I was like, why did they add that? Because it's literally just super unnecessary. It's making me hate both of them more. And like, it seemed, I don't know, maybe this didn't matter to anyone else, but it just like pissed me off so much. I was like, yeah, I just hated it. I was like, you guys are making everyone more and more unlikable as the episodes go on.
I think they wrote that in there literally because they just wanted to kind of spoon feed us that even though Billy is trying, this still isn't enough for her. So they wrote that whole conversation literally so that Trina could say, I hope this is enough for you. Yeah.
That she's like back with Cooper and doing like PTA shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, I know, because even at the beginning, I was like, oh, these are the likable, like, friend, like, these are
I
great.
thought they were so nice.
Well,
Yeah.
I knew from the first time
them.
we saw Trina, I was like, she's gonna try and fuck Cooper, because when they get home, like
She
Billy and
seems
Cooper
sneaky.
get home from their like wild date, and they're like, hee hee
Yeah.
hee. And Trina looks Cooper up and down, and she's like, good job, or something like that. And I was like, okay, she's into him.
Oh, yeah.
So I never trusted her.
Yeah.
I was confused at first. Well, it's gross that you said that, because I thought that she was his sister, because
Oh.
she was so like, when she
Oh.
was talking to him, she seemed so like uncandid that I was like, oh, you've known him your whole life. Like I was
Right.
like, they seemed really close. Like it seemed like it was like a close friendship between him and between Trina and Cooper.
Mm. Well, I just,
Yeah.
because I think the first thing she's like, oh, like, go have fun with your hot husband. So it never read as like family to me.
Sibling,
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the plot points also, like with their friendships, it would be like, we're so close, but you don't know this like bit about my life. And I don't know. I guess maybe that's realistic. I don't know. In like adult relationships where you have like your family
Mhm.
and then like friends and stuff. I don't know, but it just, some of the relationships I was like, but if you're really good friends, you would probably know that about them, or like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, nobody's rootable. But I thought we were kind of out of the anti-hero like TV genre, but some of these
It's
TV
evergreen.
shows are just
apparently.
bringing them back.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for joining me on the pod. This was a lot of fun. I feel like we covered so
We did.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, this is a marathon of an episode.
Definitely. Thank you so much for having us. It was so great to chat with you as always.
Yeah,
Thank
it's been such a
you.
pleasure. I was like stoked to go on after I heard the last episode that you released too. I was like, oh my God, Tori is like getting some really juicy tidbits right now. So
Oh my God. Yeah, I feel like Claire Parker has been like the most people have reached out to me about that episode. Then is that the one you're referring to?
yeah, that was the one that I had listened to most recently.
Yes, yeah, that was the last one I did because I've been really bad at posting lately. Just I'm living my double vaxxed life,
yeah.
and it's hard to post lately. But yeah, I feel like that was like where, like, I don't know, the most people had like reached out. Like, I didn't know that, because I have followed her on Twitter and stuff for a really long time and listened to her podcast and stuff, and I didn't know that, yeah, so many other people did too.
For sure. I had seen I like follow Caroline pretty, I don't want to say this, like, but I do follow her on social media. Like we live generally in the same area. And so I'm like,
Wild.
sometimes I look and I'm like, oh, like you're like, I know where you are essentially. And I'm like,
Yes.
but what's happening in the neighborhood? Like she threw a party that was like walking distance from my house. And I was like, I want to go. Like I want to keep up with what's happening. So I saw that she had read Not That Kind of Girl again. And I was like, what? Lena Dunham.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to see you do a pod with Taylor Lorenz from the New York Times.
Big get. Yeah, big
But it would
get.
be like such a pop culture moment.
Yeah.
We're manifesting. We're putting the energy
Yes.
out there. Yeah.
Setting that
Yes.
energy.
Yes. Okay, I love that. Yeah, I agree. And then when I get to New York,
Yeah.
have all these cool people to see, you included. Anyways, where can the listeners listen to Movies That Raised Us?
Anywhere and everywhere. We are on all streaming platforms. You can also find us on Instagram. It's Movies That Raised Us. You can find us on Twitter at MTRU_pod.
You can follow us on TikTok at Movies That Raised Us Pod. A lot of cool stuff on there. And if you want to send us just a good old fashioned email, tell us you love us, tell us you hate us. It's movies that raised us.
Don't tell us
we
you
are
hate us.
too fragile for that last part. No. It is
Honestly.
movies that raised us at gmail.com.
Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank
you. Yeah, thanks for having
Yeah.
us.
And there you have it. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you, Mo and Christina, for joining me on this episode. Again, since it was recorded in the summer, there are a few updates I want to give about the stories we talked about. First off, we discussed Alex Cooper's $20 million deal. I think that I was like, oh, $20 million, but it's like, that's over 3 years. So it's actually like 60 million, I'm pretty sure, which is absolutely wild. But I said in the episode that I didn't think maybe she could, translate her audience to Spotify. I think also I was thinking about this, which I didn't mention in the episode. It's like, because you would pay for premium because otherwise you get ads and it's really annoying. So I just assumed that like if people have to pay for something now, which technically you don't, but like the ads are so annoying. So like you kind of do, that maybe it wouldn't, I don't know, translate. Little did I know, she has dropped out of all Apple Podcasts rankings basically, which I'm looking at her stats now, which means that everyone did move over to Spotify. And then she is currently ranked number 5 in the US top comedy podcasts, 16th in overall categories in the United States. And then she also ranks like in Canada, where I am at, number 12 in overall podcasts. So she's killing it. Good for you, Alex. The other thing we talked about was, and just like that, which I've been having so much fun following the Instagram accounts, looking at all of the outfits and the shoes and the accessories, and even some that they pulled from, I guess, the archives of the original Sex and the City, and are like reimagining Carrie in them in 2021 outfits. So that's been really, really fun. Like there's like specific belts and dresses and shoes and stuff that you'll definitely remember from the show. So that's been really good. Some sad news is Willie Garson passed away, which of course Sex and the City viewers know as Stanford Blatch. He passed away from pancreatic cancer, which was so sad. I think he did film a few episodes of the reboot, so I wonder if they'll cover his passing in the TV show. But yeah, just many condolences to his son Nathan. It's so weird seeing them like continue to film, because it just seems like it just happened, and that's probably really hard on all of the people on set and all of the actors and stuff that have known him for like over 20 years. So my condolences to the cast and to his family. The other thing we covered on the show was Sex Life. Sex Life got renewed for season 2, which is so exciting. We'll definitely have to cover it and bring Mo and Christina back to talk about season 2. It obviously did so well. And Squid Game recently surpassed Bridgerton as the most watched series on Netflix. And I think Sex Life maybe cracked the top 10. So I'm definitely going to have to check out Squid Game. I'm a little nervous just because it's a little bit scary, but I loved reading the book Battle Royale, and I think it kind of has similar vibes, so I will definitely eventually watch it. Anyways, thank you again for listening, and remember to DM me your favorite moments from the last year of RTBP, and I will create a show of the top 10 favorite moments from all of the listeners for the anniversary episode. If you're not already, follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at RTBP Podcast. I hope you are safe and healthy out there. As always, I'm your host, Tori, and I am ready to be petty. See you soon. Bye.